Well, hello and welcome to the Useful Content Creation Show. And today we have with us Alex Miner. We're going to be talking about how to build your content strategy. Let's go.
Broadcasting live from Relate Studios in Trinidad and Tobago, it's the Useful Content Creation Show with your host, Juma Bannister.
I have no idea why Alex has to be so ridiculous backstage, but this is the Useful Content Creation Show where business owners come to learn how to create useful content and to build their businesses in a better way and build relationships with their employees and their clients. My name is Juma Bannister, and I'm your host, and I'm happy to be with you. And for those in the comments, we are the Useful Content Community. We own the bulb emoji. Don't forget to throw your bulbs up and use your hashtag UCC Live. And if you're here on the replay, use your hashtag UCC Replay. Today, I'm happy to introduce our special guest who is going to teach us useful things on how to build a video content strategy. Welcome to the show, Alex.
What's going on?
It's great to have you, man. Great to have you, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I almost felt like I missed it because you scheduled me so far out. Like last month, I'm sitting around like, wait, was I supposed to do a show with Juma? Like, did I miss my night? What's going on?
You definitely would have heard from me if you missed it. Definitely, like 100%. There's no way of escaping that one. And for the people who don't know about you, let's get to know you a bit. Tell the people who you are and what you do.
What's going on, people? My name is Alex Miner. I'm a video marketing strategist based in Orlando, Florida. And if you don't know what a video marketer is or a video marketing agency would be, imagine a videographer that's better than any videographer you've ever known and a digital marketing agency, and you smash those together and you have a lovely baby that looks like me.
You're far from a baby, but we'll take it.
Like a baby.
but you know what? But that's interesting. I mean, and I know part of the thing is that you didn't start off in this industry. You kind of ended up here. You can just share a tiny bit about how that happened.
Yeah, so I actually started off in music, right? And I learned a whole lot about marketing from being an unsuccessful rapper. Although I did manage to get paid for rapping, which is more than most rappers ever accomplish. But in that journey, I went from being a rapper, a music producer, an audio engineer, into worker for television news, went from television news into corporate events. Corporate events is where I picked up a camera. And when I eventually bought my own camera equipment, that's when I started falling in love with cinematography and filmmaking. And that led me down a rabbit hole at YouTube University. And we ended up here somehow.
Yeah, somehow we ended up here. It's a good place to be. And as a battle rapper, you probably have a really excellent memory. I looked at some of your battles.
You looked at some of the battles. Oh, God.
Well, why not? Why not? I mean, might as well go in. I'm doing research. You're going to be here. Might as well look at some. I mean, that guy. Anyway, let's not get into that. It's on YouTube, people. If you want to go see what Alex was doing back in the day,
don't do that.
Circa 2012, go look at it.
Don't do that.
It's public knowledge. All right, great. So let me just say hello to some of the people in the comments real quick. Let me say hey to Keneal.
Wow, people here.
Keneal dropping his hashtag UCC Live. Thank you so much for being up. Adina, hey, hi. So good to have you on. This is one of my good connections and people from Trinidad and Tobago, a young photographer rising in the business. Good to have you on. And Keneal is asking, wasn't he on the last show highlight segment? Everywhere. He's ubiquitous at this point. Alison, good evening to you, Alison. Thank you for being here. And Dan Roth is in the house saying Alex Miner is not minor, is major. Why you downplaying? I mean, he's out there. Wow, I was a rapper too. Oh, I didn't know that, Adina. You were a rapper too. It seems like there's some convergence going on here. All right, so then we're gonna say, Alex, you were the one that produced for John Graham Jr. Okay, we're getting a lot of questions. We're not even to the conversation yet, but everybody is a fan. We've established that. All right, so let's jump right into what we came here to talk about. But before we do that, let me just ask you the big question that I ask everyone who comes on the show: what makes your content useful?
What makes my content useful? I think the fact that I don't sugarcoat nothing. I just try to give people facts straight up, no chaser, and just give them the benefit of my experience and my observance. Because I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that I talk about, everything that I put in my content is nothing that you can't find out yourself with a little bit of time and some research. I'm just saving you that time. So I think if people, listen to what I'm saying and try to implement the strategies or try to implement the advice, they'll find out very quickly that I'm very truthful and straight to the point, and all I'm trying to do is help.
Yeah, and definitely, and I think that is one of the hallmarks of useful content. It has to be about the people, and it has to help them get where they need to go. And if it's not doing that, it's about you. And I know you're a big proponent for focusing on the people in order to solve their problems first. And so yeah, that's a big characteristic of useful content in my mind. So let me say good evening to this is the last hail out. It's the man himself, Alex Miner. That's Gabe Leal is saying that. Thank you, Gabe, for jumping on. I appreciate
What's
that.
up, sir?
So let's get right into it on how to build a video content strategy. Why does anyone need a video content strategy anyway?
Well, first, I believe that every business out there could benefit from having video content. What kind of video content depends on your business, depends on your goals, depends on who you serve. And so that's really the beginning of forming any strategy, whether it's video, social media, content in general. You got to ask yourself some questions and be very honest about first what are your goals? Like, why are you here? Why are you doing this? What's the point? Why do anything at all? Because for some businesses the answer might be you shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it's not the right time. Maybe you don't have the budget. Maybe you don't have enough time to put into it to do it properly. So you got to be honest, like, what am I trying to accomplish here? And do I actually have the time, energy, or the money to accomplish it? That's going to be the basis. And if you figure that out, then you can move on to worrying about, you know, what are the people that I'm trying to serve? What are their goals? What do they care about? What do they need? What are their pain points? Because to be able to start creating this content and developing a content strategy, you got to know what to talk about. You got to know the subject of the content is going to be. And to understand what kind of content you should be making, you got to understand what kind of problems you're trying to solve. So you got to have a very, very thorough understanding of your audience.
Right, excellent. And so if somebody comes to you and says, hey, Alex, I've seen what you're doing online. I see the videos you've made. I know that you're a really excellent video strategist. What is the first thing that happens when they engage you to create a video content strategy?
I ask them a ton of questions. I tell people I'm like an investigator. I'm an investigator and consultant with clients. Like, I can't help you create content unless I understand you, unless I understand your business, where it is now, where it is that you're trying to go, and what it is you think creating video content is supposed to do for your business. It's just like the questions I just said somebody needs to ask themselves. Um, because basically what you're trying to do is, if you're hiring me or if you're thinking about hiring me, is you want somebody to basically step into your shoes and do a lot of this work for you. Because I'm not like one of these coaches or somebody. Now, I work with coaches and there's nothing wrong with coaches. I love coaches. I find them fascinating. They're some of my best clients. But I'm not a coach where, like, I coach clients, but I'm not a coach that's just trying to teach you to make the videos and be like, all right, learn these lessons, implement these things, go off on your own. Like, we are a done for you video marketing agency. Do we have clients that have us do more work than other clients? Yeah. I mean, every client's different. But usually when folks come to me, it's because they don't want to have to do the thing. They want somebody who's really good at it to do the thing with them having to do minimal work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I can't do that properly if, one, I'm not excited about you and what you do, and two, if I don't believe in what you're doing, and three, if I don't understand you and your business collectively.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what happens when you somebody approaches you and you don't believe in what they're doing? Do you turn them away?
Yeah, if it's the vibe's not right, if and this and it's not that I don't want to help people, because like even the people that I turn down, like I wish I could help them, but I've just had the unfortunate experience of doing it anyway and it turning out bad.
Mm.
So now I know enough to trust my gut feeling, and if the vibe ain't right, if I feel like somebody's going to be a difficult client, or if just the thought that crossed my mind is I don't want to, then I'm not going to do it, because it'll just end up bad for both of us.
Yeah. I agree with that. I've had experiences that are similar to that. If it doesn't feel right, then maybe you should just kind of pass on that one. All right. So you're at the point where you asked all these questions, you've um found out what matters to your customers. I'm assuming you're pretty great at listening as well, because asking questions, the other half of that is listening to what people have to say. So you have all these recorded answers, and you're distilling that information into something that you can use to help build the video strategy. How does the process go from there?
Well, it's once I have these understandings and I've got like a list of your goals and kind of an understanding of what kind of timeline you're looking at, then we can figure out, is the content that you're creating, is it for a paid strategy? Is it for an organic strategy? Is it something where you think one video is going to fix your problem? One video never fixes your problem. Um, or is it something where you're prepared to engage in a long-term video strategy? Because that's one thing that I think a lot of people misunderstand about creating videos for their business, and I'm sure you run into this too, is that a lot of companies, unless somebody's coming to you like with a specific need, like, hey bro, we really just need this one video because
Mm,
it's a video for something that's already going on, like a project that's already in the works or something, and like this one video is part of fulfilling the requirements for this project. Video, if it's not that type of situation, video is a long-term strategy. You
mm,
know what I'm saying? Like,
mm,
and to understand what I mean when I'm saying that, like, think about all the brands that you see on TV all the time, or the brands that are household names. So in the US, well, okay, let's use some international ones. Pizza Hut, McDonald's, uh I don't know, Pepsi, like, but name brands that are name brands.
mm,
Like, do they ever stop putting out commercials? Do
mm,
they ever stop doing print ads? They never stop putting their name and their face, their likeness, their logo, whatever it is. They never stop putting themselves in front of you, because they understand that what's most familiar is usually what's going to be grabbed first when somebody's going to make a choice about something.
mm,
Right? It's the whole no like trust factor that we all get tired of hearing about, but it's the truth. Like, you and it's gonna be at least two out of those three things. Because like McDonald's, McDonald's, you may not like McDonald's, but up to a certain point, you trust what you're gonna get when you go to McDonald's. They're extremely
mm, mm.
consistently bad, but they're consistent.
All
You
right,
know,
right, right.
rather than going to Bob's Big Burger down the block and you have no idea what's gonna happen when you walk through them doors.
Right, right. So there are two main things I took out of everything you said. First one, the question I want to ask out of that, and I have a follow up to this, is: have you had difficulty convincing people that video is a long term strategy? And the second one I would ask is that okay? Do that one first, and then I'll come to the second one.
Right. Well, I try not to put myself in a situation where I have to convince anybody of anything.
Mm,
Um, because that's a losing battle. And you know, if you're a fan of Gary Vaynerchuk, he says much the same thing. He's like, if I have to convince you, the fit's not right. You know, like I want people sitting in front of me or asking me questions who already know that video is a good idea. They may not know what form the video needs to take. They might not know what to do with it, but they know the video is a good idea already,
Mhm.
which everybody should, and everybody really does if they sit and think about it. A lot of people just don't want to spend the money. And
Mhm.
and so if you know the video is a good idea and you're mentally at the point where you know that video is an investment, because a lot of people think of it as an expense. You got
Right.
to make that mental shift. When you're ready to look at it as an investment rather than an expense, then you're ready. Because if you understand that, okay, and let's just give an example. Let's say like I'm some sort of coach. Let's say I'm a business coach and I've got a program where the minimum level of engagement for my business programs is $3,500.
Mhm.
Well, if I go and do this video strategy and and it makes me, or it gets me, you know, 2 clients a month, well, shoot, I can do a $3,500 video strategy every month.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Because at the end of the month, at the end of the year, that means 12 clients that are profit from that.
Right. Right. So do you so that kind of leans into something
Plus
that
ones that didn't come from my video strategy.
r- right, plus the others who may have been referrals or something of that sort. Yeah, and so it kind of leans in. Oh, we kind of we have some different things we're touching on here that I find so interesting. So it kind of comes down to the question of can you prove the value to the person or to the business owner, so that they can see that, like almost like you're not trying to convince them, but you're trying to offer a perspective on how can this thing work for you and what the benefits might be, as opposed to thinking about the money. It's almost like
Well, you got to
it,
think about the money.
mm,
But part of it is doing what I just did with you with this example, is like you kind of walk through some numbers with them, like
mhm,
you know, and you ask some questions to kind of set up that scenario. Like one of the things that I do that I don't know if other marketers do this or other people, I don't know if you do this with your clients, but I get straight up with people. Like I ask them like, yo, what's the value of a client? You know, if we help you get one client for your business, what is that worth to you? All right, cool. So if we're going to work with you over time, if I bring you one new client a month and we can figure out a way to prove that I bring you one new client a month, what is that worth to your bottom line? What happens if I can bring you 2 clients? You know what I'm saying? And there are various ways to prove that, whether you're doing paid strategies or organic strategies. It just really depends on what you're doing. Or maybe a thing where a dollar amount is not the goal. Maybe the goal is
mm,
increased brand presence, you
mm,
know, or name recognition or brand recognition. I mean, so maybe, you know, you're putting out content on LinkedIn and you want to see that follower count going up. Well, if the trend in your analytics is that you've been getting, you know, 25 new followers a month, and we start doing video content together, and all of a sudden you're getting 100, 200, 300 followers a month, because now you're more consistent with the content. People see your face, they're understanding who you are, they're digging your personality. Well, then there's some ROI for your ass.
mhm, mhm. So then how? Let me go back to the part of what you said before. Something I wanted to touch on. So you mentioned McDonald's and these bigger brands. What do you say to someone who says, "Oh, those things are like that's like mass marketing. Those are people who have millions of dollars to spend on advertising, and that is why they're in front of you all the time. Those type of strategies will not work
Yeah,
for me."
well, they're trying to be in front of the world. You ain't got to be in front of the world. You want to be in front of you want to be in front of the entire world. Yeah, that costs a whole bunch of money. And I'd be scared to see their marketing budgets. I wouldn't want that weight. Um, but you don't need to be in front of the world. You need to be in front of your audience, which can be a very small slice of the world, because it doesn't take, with the internet these days, a large audience to be able to monetize. It takes the right audience to be able to
Mm,
monetize.
mm,
um you know, you could be known. I mean, there are people with less than, you know, 5,000 followers on LinkedIn who are killing it. You know what I'm saying? And most of their business comes from LinkedIn.
mm,
So that right there proves that you don't need to be doing gigantic numbers to make gigantic numbers go in your bank account.
Right, right. And how does one find out who their people are, who they're supposed to be talking to?
That's about asking them questions and getting real about your business. Like if you're in business, you should have an idea of who you're in business for. Because if somebody asks you like, yo, who's your ideal customer? And you say, oh, anybody with a such and such. No, you're wrong. You're just wrong. It's not anybody. There's some sort of trend there. If you examine it closely, you'll see that, if you really examine who is actually putting money in your pocket, you'll see trends there. You'll see a certain kind of business, a certain kind of demographic, certain age group. So there's something going on because you appeal to somebody. You don't appeal to everybody. That's impossible. And if you're really honest about it, you'll start to be able to understand who you're serving now. And then you'll be able to tell yourself, okay, I'm cool with continuing to serve these people, or I want to serve somebody different. And then you can start figuring out who that different person is and dialing down on that so that you can figure out how to appeal to that person.
Right, right. And there are some people who may be doing video already, but have not been seeing the results that they feel they should be seeing. And how do you come in and then move their thinking from like, I have a general problem with video to drill down into identifying a specific problem that they may need to address?
Well, first I go and look at the content that they're already making. So if you're already looking at if you're already making content, but you're not getting any results or not getting the results that you want, then usually you're the problem.
Oh, we can say that?
Like usually you're the problem. Like there's something that you're not doing, or there's something that you're unaware of that is making it so that you're not getting the results that you want. And maybe it's not, you're not distributing the content enough. Maybe it's not, you're making yourself visible enough. And if we're relating this to LinkedIn, maybe it's because you're outputting, but you're not inputting to the platform. You know what I'm saying? You're not engaging. You're not making connection requests. You're expecting everybody to you're on that. If you build it, they will come. But I'm sorry to tell you, no, they won't.
Your pod mic is working well.
Yeah. So, and so there's something that you can adjust. There's something that you can fix. You just gotta, do some serious self-assessment or bring in a professional to do some assessment where you can figure out where the issue is and then start addressing it. And it may be that you're talking to people on the wrong platform. Maybe the people that you're trying to serve aren't on the platform where you want to be because that's the platform where you're comfortable. But it don't matter if you're comfortable there if nobody with money is there.
All right, so let's take a break. That's a big chunk of valuable information that we just went through there. Let's take a break and look at the comments for a second and just say hello to the people down because many people have joined since then. So people have been debating our quality, particularly. Wow, too many. Let me. All right, so Garen came in and did his bulbs as usual. Thank you, Garen, for being here. So gotta know what kind of camera Alex is using. You could just tell people. Is he streaming at 1080p?
GH5, Panasonic GH5.
Okay, let me tell you, people, everybody who's in the comments right now. We are streaming at 720p. This is lighting and optics in the lenses. That's all it is. So
you got to start with a good looking image.
You guys are. I mean, that's not a good looking person. I mean,
well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you get two handsome guys on the live stream, it's gonna look good.
Yeah, that helps. A good foundation to start to build on. But but it's 720p streaming in, and the cameras do help. The lighting is Alex's lighting is kind of complex.
But there's a lot going on back there.
Yeah. You have the complementary colors and all those things going on, which is very cool. So Garen is saying that's mirrorless quality hands down. Is the GH5 mirrorless? Yeah, so he knows what he's talking about. And with proper lighting, you can get 4K out of 1080p.
I mean, that's not an untrue statement.
Yeah, definitely. And let me just show something Dion was saying. I like the statement, video is a long-term strategy, #facts. So I just wanted to recognize those people down in the comment. By the way, for what it's worth, okay, all right. So so clearly I need to have more people on here with well, Garen is supposed to be on the stream next week. I think is next week, so he'll have an incredible setup as well. Garen Bellini, so he will have an incredible setup as well. All right, so Clarence is here. Let me say hello, Clarence. Clarine, I think Clarine. Clarine. Sorry, Clarine. I apologize.
See, look at that lady speaking the truth.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. All right. Okay, so let's jump back in. Oh my goodness, so many little questions. Let's jump back in. Let's continue. Right.
Don't get bogged down in the technical details, okay?
Yeah. Just saying hello. I'd like to talk to the people. We're transitioning
like 5-6 years in that rabbit hole, and
right. It's true. And my camera is very old. My camera is over a decade old. The one that I'm shooting with right now.
Whew.
So it works. The lens is over a decade old. Decade.
I mean, GH5 is an old camera at this point. They just released the GH6.
Oh, you understand? So yeah. So let's jump back into the conversation. All right. So how can, well, two things. Is there any difference in how you speak to someone who is just starting a business versus someone who has been in business for a long time? Or is the process of coming up with a strategy the same?
Well, this is where some people are going to hate on me, but yeah, we don't really like to mess with startups.
Oh, for real? Tell me, why?
Because most of them don't have no money. I'm just being honest. Like, bro, like, I cannot afford to be a cheap solution.
Right.
I'll say that again. I cannot afford to be a cheap solution. My life is expensive. Some of that is my fault. But now I am in business for myself, and I cannot afford to be a cheap solution.
Right.
I can't take, and I mean, there's exceptions to every rule, right? Like there'll be, somebody that I meet and I really like them and they've got a business and I just want to help them. So I might do something for super cheap or I might do something for free, but that is definitely not every day. I've been in business for myself for depending on your viewpoint, 4, 5. Well, I haven't had a job in 10 years or more. Started out freelancing, started this business like 4 or 5 years ago as a side hustle. COVID made it the full time.
Right.
But I haven't, like I said, I haven't had a job since 2011. And I got kids. My life got more expensive, not less. So I got to be real with business owners and people that I meet. It's like I can't afford to do stuff for cheap. Like, and now I've gone through the whole creator thing of being underpaid and not charging enough and learned hard lessons. But my time is valuable just like their time is valuable. And now it's like I'm not willing to put myself in a position where I'm killing myself, with too many projects and too many things to make the amount of money that I can make with fewer high paying projects.
Right. Agreed. And I saw Vlogmas. I know that you like to spend time with the kids. And so that's very important. I was just talking with somebody today about that, about the choices you make in order to facilitate your life, and not just having things, but even having flexibility. Being able to do certain things with your family and being able to be there for important things that a 9-to-5 is not going to provide you, as well as working yourself to death is going to provide you.
Yeah, so and I'll be honest, I don't have it all figured out. I'm still working too much right now because I'm still, I don't have any full-time employees. I have contractors that I work with on projects. I'm not a natural born businessman. I am not. I'm a pretty intelligent guy, but I'm not naturally gifted in many areas. It's a lot of study, it's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of practice for me to get good at things. And so business is one of those things that I've just been dragging myself over hot coals to get better at over the years. And we're still figuring out.
Mm.
I'm hoping by the end of this year to start hiring at least a couple full-time people, with the revenues not quite there. I feel like it's on the edge of it.
Yeah.
If I could clone my best client a couple of times, then we could definitely afford a couple of full-time employees.
Right.
But it's still searching for them unicorns.
Yeah. It'll happen. It'll come in. It'll come in. And I like the whole idea of being able to employ people. So if you're a good boss, then it will work out. So I was gonna ask is when somebody is coming to you to talk about doing a video content strategy, how can they prepare in order to get the most out of the video content strategy session?
That is a really good question. I should record I should record a video for prospective clients to watch before they get on the Zoom. That's okay. Note taken. What can they do? Come with goals in mind. Like, if you can tell me really clearly what it is that you expect doing the videos to happen. Wait, did I say that correctly? If you can tell me very clearly what it is that you expect to happen once you do these videos, if we do these videos, that's going to do a lot to inform me what steps we should take. Also, be very realistic about what kind of budget you may need to have, because I promise you it's not going to be $500.
No should it. No should it at all. No should it.
Um, so like usually, like I had a sales coach tell me, like, tell everybody either double what you think is going to be or add another zero, and you're probably closer to the actual number than what's in your head.
Right. So have you found? So let me present a scenario to you, right? Because I know you've been doing this for a while. The business has been running in this form, kind of transitioned in 2020 during the pandemic, but has been running in this kind of form for the last 5 years. Have you found the transition from the lower paying, more frequently booking clients to the higher paying, more spaced out clients difficult, or because
it happened gradually. So it happened gradually. Because one thing, and this is very ridiculous. Well, I'm in the same boat that a lot of marketers are in, where you don't spend a lot of time marketing yourself. My LinkedIn activity over the last couple of years has been the exception to that rule. But this year we're trying to get our act together and actually make very concerted efforts to market the business and employ some of the strategies that I like to help clients employ. But part of the reason I wasn't big on marketing myself, like in a traditional marketing sense, was because I didn't want to get overloaded. I'm a solopreneur. I didn't want to take on more than I could actually handle. And so I took my time with it, kind of growing the business and experimenting with things, experimenting with price points, experimenting with offers, trying different types of content out, those sorts of things. Because it's a trial and error process. I didn't walk into this knowing everything. I still don't know everything. Still got lots to learn. So I just take my time with it, and as I started, focusing and figuring out, okay, doing stuff for this price don't work. Let's move over here and do stuff this way. And like, I was fortunate that the right clients seemed to come.
Right. So let's talk about a bit about your clients' ability to execute on a strategy once they have it. So what are the things that people need to know in order to stay the course? Because human beings get discouraged when they don't see particular results. What would you tell someone? How can they prepare for that journey in video that is going to come after they have a strategy?
It's going to be more work than you think it is. Point blank period. We almost everybody underestimates how much work it's going to be to implement the video strategy. And that's depending on what the video strategy is. Because if it's one where we're creating the content for you, but you want to go and execute on it once the content is done and in your hands, like there's only so much I can do. If you want to pay us to handle that, as far as like if you need us to run ads or something like that, or even if it's like I have a client where I manage her YouTube channel, if it's something like that, or if there's like some kind of channel where you want us to manage it so that you don't have to think about that stuff, that's going to cost, but it's going to take some of the stuff off of your plate so you have more time to focus on the things that you want to focus on. And I mean, basically it really boils down to doing anything, employing any strategy, creating content in general is going to take 2 out of 3 things. It's either going to take time, it's going to take energy, or it's going to take money. And you got to pick which of the 2 you're willing to put in. If you're willing to put in all 3, that's amazing. Most people ain't willing to put in all 3. So you got to pick which 2 you're willing to put in, and then you can start getting results.
Yeah, that's good advice. Yeah, and I think a lot of people are challenged by they're challenged by the numbers as well. So they start to implement the strategy. First few videos, they get what they can think is low views. They might get 10 views. They might get like 1 reaction or something of that sort, and then somewhere in between week 1 and week 4, they kind of tell themselves that maybe this isn't working. How do you pull someone out of that kind of quagmire of thinking negatively about what is happening in that process at the time?
Well, one, you got to ask them, what are you doing other than just posting the video? Because if you think you're just going to post a video and everything's going to start happening, you're wrong. So if we're talking specifically about LinkedIn, like there's other LinkedIn activity that you need to be doing to generate interest in your content. You need to be commenting on other people's content. You need to be connecting with people, sending out them requests, being in the DMs, not in a spammy way or a salesy way, but hey, what's up? I'd like to get to know you way. Because you've got to be interesting to generate interest. And you've also got to show that you're interested in other people. So if you're not doing those things, then your content is going to fall flat. Don't matter how good it is. Nobody's going to see it. The algorithm don't love you when you don't show love.
I like that as a quotable right there. You got to be interesting to what was it? I'm gonna this is recorded, obviously. I'm gonna go back and check that out. Probably gonna
Once in a while I say something smart.
I mean, once every few minutes you're gonna drop some gems. I mean, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna take your advice because go back, chop the thing up, micro content, and do a lot of stuff. So that's great. I think well, okay. So last question on content strategy. Could you define for us like the different approaches you could take to a content strategy in a general sense? And because I know different people may have different ideas about how that could work, but are there general ways to define different types of content strategies? Could you describe that for us?
Okay. So one big decision that people have to make is whether they're willing to have a paid content strategy or if they want to have an organic content strategy, because your approaches to each are going to be wildly different. Because with a paid content strategy or video strategy, you can get away with way fewer videos because you're going to be putting it in front of way more people way more quickly. And that's talking about things like running ads on. I wouldn't want you to run LinkedIn ads because they're super expensive. But if you run YouTube ads, if you run Instagram ads, Facebook ads, TikTok ads, you don't necessarily need as many videos because you're just going to show them to way more people in a short amount of time because you're paying for that distribution. If you're going with an organic strategy, that's that long-term strategy that we're talking about. And you have to figure out how you can be consistent over time. And consistency looks different to everybody. So it's not necessarily posting every day or creating a video every day. It could be once a week, twice a week, could be once a month, but you've got to get on a rotation where people can expect that you're going to show up. People got to be able to anticipate you being there so that they can get their fix. You know what I'm saying? You got to become you got to become the drug dealer, you know, and people got to know what corner you on and when you're going to be there.
So I'm hearing you saying you have to be unreasonably and fiercely consistent.
I want to say unreasonably, like you can make adjustments for your lifestyle. But you so like if you look at my page or you look at you know, my brand story video, you'll see that one of the things that I talk about is becoming unforgettable. And the way that you become unforgettable as a brand or as a business is by always showing up. The same way that we were talking earlier about those big brands, Nike, McDonald's, uh, Apple, all those things. They're always showing up. They show up more than everybody else. And that's why they stay in your brain, in your mouth, like on the billboards, the streets, everything. That's why they stick around, is because they show up. And so if you're not showing up, the person who does is going to be the one who gets the business. It's the same way with Google ads. Nobody's searching for the person on the 5th page. They looking at probably the top 5 spots that come up when they Google something. They're going to pick from those. That's why Google's ads are so expensive.
Right. And I'm let me go back. I thought that was the last question, but let me ask something. I heard you say in the past, no one should boost a post that is not already doing well. Is that sort of thing?
Yeah, I stick with that. Don't boost a post unless it's already doing good. Like, because when a post is already doing good, you have social proof that the content is good. If you're trying to boost a post that ain't doing nothing, you have social proof that the content is bad. So if you put out a post and nobody's clicking, nobody's liking, nobody's engaging, and you're like, oh, well, let me boost it to get more eyeball. It's like, bro, the algorithm already told you nobody wants it. Like, spend the money on the one that's already working for you.
Right. Makes absolute sense. If it's not working, then why even put more effort into it? You know, it's just
right. Move on to the next.
It's the same like a content format. It's like no one is looking at this particular content format. It's time to switch it up. It's time to try something new. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's another thing I'll tell people, like, don't get stuck, you know what I'm saying, in one mode. Like content creation, if you're really down for that long-term strategy, like I'm saying, don't get stuck on one thing. Be willing to experiment. Be willing to try something different. Get out of your comfort zone, because nothing's going to work the same way forever. You know what I'm saying? Even when you're, you know, say you're running a Facebook ad and it's killing it, one day it's gonna stop. And you won't know when, you won't know why, but all of a sudden that ad's gonna tank. It's inevitable. And there could be a million reasons why, but you best be prepared to throw another ad out there when that one tanks, because it's not going to work forever.
Right. Excellent. Good words. Thank you so much, Alex, for giving us the rundown on how to build your video content strategy. Let's jump into like the final segment of the show. I wasn't going to do this evening, but I had to just scramble together some things to ask you. There's this last segment is called Agree, Disagree. We're going to just do that. These are just statements that I'm going to put out to you and ask you if you agree or disagree with them. It's not reflecting on what I think about the statements, but it's just to give you something to think about and for the people to think about. All right, so let's run that segment right now. Agree, disagree. All right, agree, disagree. Oh, are you muted still?
No, I was jamming out.
Oh, you're jamming out. Okay, I thought you were saying something. All right. You know that I made that music, right? I said that already, right?
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. That's you know, like you, I had a tiny touch of producing days, tiny touch. All right, so yeah. So agree, disagree. Passion before skill.
Yes.
Right. So that's agreement with that. Why?
Because you can learn the skill. If you got enough passion, you can learn the skill. Unless you're just truly bad at it, and there are some things that you're never going to be good at. If you've got passion, you can learn the skill.
All right. Okay. Agree, disagree. Virality can be harmful.
Yes, agree.
Yeah.
Because virality can be paralyzing. Because if I would rather have 100 videos that do okay than one video that does amazing, and then I'm stuck on a hamster wheel trying to figure out how to replicate that amazing.
Right. But you do recommend though that people should go back and look at at least have a look at the video to see
Yeah,
why.
I mean, go back and look at your best performing content and try to analyze what went right and do more of that. But if you got one piece that explodes way more than anything else, and you're sitting there like, oh man, I got to do that again. Like that's so harmful to a lot of people's creation process. Like analysis paralysis is real.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think one of the things about virality that could be very dangerous is that when people go off message and they get a viral kind of response, and then now it brought in the wrong eyes, the wrong people flock to the content, and then they have an expectation that can't be met because you just went off message for some reason. You went
Or
on
it just dilutes your stats.
yeah.
You know, the other thing is that it'll dilute your numbers. You can't, like, once you go viral, you can't really trust the numbers no more, because before, when you had a small audience and the audience was consistent, you'd be able to see the trends, you'd be able to see what's going on, you'd be able to make intelligent decisions based off that data. You go viral, that screws up your numbers.
I hadn't thought to that one, but that's a good point. I'll remember that when I'm talking about virality in the future. All right, so agree or disagree? Preparing for a rap battle is just as hard as a video strategy meeting.
I'd say more. Like the way battles are now, like if anybody used to watch grind time battles, or they watch URL, or they watch King of the Dot, or any of those battle leagues, like, yo, some of them dudes do weeks of research to get ready for them battles. Like, they get personal, they find, like, they will call up ex-girlfriends and cousins, like they will hit up your family to find out secrets. Like, nothing is off limits in these rap battles. Like, it can be dirty. Like, hopefully you don't ever have to battle one of your friends.
Yeah, that'd be bad. And you did your research. I see you pulling up. You printed the
Oh,
picture.
you found that one, the jersey battle.
I saw that, and the guy, you like telling the guy, you out there, guys picking you up, because in the picture, somebody was picking you up.
Yo,
Yeah,
when I found that, it was like, dude, how could you play yourself like this?
yeah. That's Just take research. I guess is just as challenging. All right. So next question. Agree, disagree. Oh, and for those who don't know what we're talking about, go search Alex Minor rap battle on YouTube. Or not. You don't have to do it.
Dark side of the internet.
The dark side of the internet. All right. So next, agree, disagree. Timing is critical when creating content.
No.
No,
I don't agree with that, because if you're creating content all the time, then timing doesn't matter. I think timing only matters when you're trying to hoard content. And now, like, if you're doing a product launch or something like that, then that's a little bit different, but that's because your goals are different, right? You're not just creating content for the general purposes of brand awareness and growing your audience and continuing to be visible. You're making it for a specific targeted purpose. Like, if you're creating content for a campaign, for a specific campaign, yeah, timing matters. But if you're just making content consistently, then it doesn't matter, because you're making it all the time.
Right. Definitely, without a doubt. So Keneal is looking for some clarity. He wants to know if we're referring to when creating or posting.
Both.
Okay.
And because, and here's the thing, a lot of people get stuck on, like, what time of day should I post, or what days of the week should I post? Train your audience.
Ooh.
You tell your audience when it's going to happen. Like, and I don't say you tell your audience by telling your audience, because if you tell your audience and then it doesn't happen, you look stupid, or you look unreliable. But you train your audience by being consistent. So if it's convenient for you to post at 2 p.m. on a Monday and that's what you can do, then do that. And always show up at 2 p.m. on a Monday and people will expect it. And when you don't show up, people will show up in your inbox like, hey, bro, you good? What's up? I didn't see your post. That's when you know that you've been consistent. When you don't post and people start showing up asking questions like, yo, where are you at? What's going on? Are you okay? That's when you know you've been consistent.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And that's precisely why this show is at exactly 9:30 every week. I've had people turn up when I skip weeks. They ask that question, like, why aren't you here? And I'm sure you've gotten that too.
I'm like, I'm such a bad patient. Like, I'm a great doctor. I'm a bad patient. The business got so busy last year that I just had to drop all my social activity. Like I was just, and that was part of learning to be a better business owner and manage things and not take on so much. Like I was just swamped and could not deal with anything besides what was directly in front of me. So I just dropped everything, LinkedIn, YouTube, any social. Like I said, I can't, and just focused on getting the work done. So I mean, you also got to be real about what you can handle, and that was my moment where I was just like, I can't handle this. This is messing with my head.
Right. I was going to ask you about that. That's something I know we talked about when we were offline, but I know you did yours in response to external pressure in the business or internal pressure in the business. But can people use breaks strategically for content?
Say that again.
Can people use taking a break or being offline strategically for their content?
Yeah, because the thing is, and it depends on who you are and what kind of audience you got. I mean, there's always there's some value in having people miss you. But I also don't believe that if you've got the right audience that they'll ever get tired of you. So another, that's one of those other questions that people always have, like how much posting is too much? It's like, well, if you're in front of the right people, it's never too much. They'll eat it up. And besides, every post is never going to be shown to every people or every person who follows you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's the way all these algorithms work. When you first post, they show it to a piece of your audience, not the entire audience. LinkedIn is the rare exception. And when they roll out like some new feature, they go wild and be like, yeah, if you do this, we're going to show it to everybody. But like LinkedIn is the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, I think they try that.
Always eventually change it back where it's like, all right, you had your fun. You had your fun. You got your buzz. Okay, calm down, Junior. Let's dial it back.
Yeah, definitely LinkedIn is like that. I think they tried that with the bell, and they had to roll it to kind of pull it back.
Yeah, with lives, because it used to be every time you went live, everybody that was connected to you saw you went live. With newsletters, like they get excited.
Yeah, definitely. Lastly, agree, disagree. On social media, you grow more from doing rather than consuming.
Yes. But the caveat to that with LinkedIn is that if you're doing while consuming, you can see more growth than from doing.
Right.
And what I mean by that is there are people who are growing large audiences just off of commenting on people's posts.
It's true.
Making connections, landing deals, making friends, kissing babies, just from commenting on other people's posts. So if you make the consuming part of your doing and you're not just a lurker, you can grow more from that. But if you're just, here's my post, then nah.
Without a doubt. I agree with you. Let me just say hello real quick to Ilya as we bring this in for landing. Hi, Ilya. Indeed. Being always showing up on people's billboards feed. Right, because we were talking earlier in the conversation about that. And should I show this comment or should I not? Should I be a little bit risky, Alex?
What did they say?
Should I? They said drug dealer, can we sell to kids? Yeah, Okay, let me pull that. I got kids, so let me
Depends on
pull
what
that
kind
out.
of drugs it is.
Yeah, depends. And Jillian is here. Jillian said she would be here, and she's here, so she met our expectations. Thank you so much, Jillian, for turning up and being honorable. Hello, joining you both from Las Vegas. Hope you're having fun. You know, yeah, you probably hope you're having fun. Hi, Ilya, with dancing in the comments, and Ilya is saying timing can boost your reach by riding a wave of collecting conversation, but I'd go 100% for consistency in strategy over timing. Yeah, agreed. And it is saying Alex Minor totally on point with being consistent and taking the priorities to what it matters most. Great stuff. So thank you so much for playing this little game. Agree, disagree. I'm trying to produce while I'm doing this. My goodness, it's terrible. Oh, you know what I can do? I can just say, I could just do some of this. Why not? And this is some of Alex's.
Promotion at all times.
Yes.
No.
I am media. That's where people can find your website. Yeah, I was supposed to ask you about your website. Your website, that discovery form is a lot of info. Do people fill that out really?
Oh yeah,
They do.
I mean, it's only 10 questions, and half of them are multiple choice. And some people look at the discovery form and be like, is anybody gonna fill that out? Look, I ain't taking the meeting if you ain't filling it out.
Right. You're right. It's
like
true.
Because like for me, and I'll just drop this jewel on anybody else who, if there's any other video people, or like the discovery form is more than just your typical contact box. And there's a reason for that. If you're not willing to put in 5 minutes to fill out that form, I don't want you as a client. It's a qualification tool. Like if I instantly know if somebody sends me a discovery form, it ain't filled out, it's like, this ain't gonna work.
Have people
asking about your business, and if you can't be bothered to talk about your own business, we ain't got nothing to talk about.
Right. Have people circumvented the process by getting in contact with you in other ways?
Rarely. Like if people don't come through the website, if people come through another way, then sometimes I'll let them slide. But then usually in that first call or first interaction, like, I'm running them down the discovery form anyway to get those answers.
Right.
But yeah, like if we're having a conversation and you're not willing to give me any details on your business, like, how am I supposed to help you?
Right. Excellent. It's true. So this is Alex on LinkedIn. Lots of LinkedIn crew here, some Facebook people here as well, on here, and also Alex on IG.
Yeah, I need to get more active on that too. My Instagram has been sadly lacking for like ever.
And then of course Alex on YouTube, because you had a different YouTube handle. You changed it.
Yeah, because like my last gasp of trying to get rap fame was I was going by Alex Minor, but I kind of like, it's like, I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna be cool in how I spell it. I'm gonna take most of the vowels out.
Yeah.
A-L-X-M-N. I'm cool. Wasn't cool. Not for us.
I saw you still use that logo. You still use that logo with no vowels.
Yeah, I still love the logo, but just for the sake of people being able to actually spell it, I put
you put it
back here.
You put it back, which makes complete sense. Jillian is saying, love you guys. Everyone is a winner in Vegas, baby.
Woo!
Go, Jillian. That's a really good idea. Oh, so you're probably referring to the discovery form. Kia is referring to the discovery form. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes complete sense, Kia. If you want to see what it looks like, go to his site. Graham Kuhn has a similar form on his site as well. So yeah, go to Alex's site.
Warriors, baby.
Yeah, video. Get them in close and fast. Alex, any last words of wisdom to share with the people before we make our exit?
I am the Eggman. Goo goo gachoo.
You can't get much wiser than that. So thank you so much, people, for being here with us. You've been a great community. It's been a great time spending with you all. And we'll see you all on the next episode of the Useful Content Creation Show. Bye, everyone.